Welcome to the Bite Size Brilliance podcast. I'm your host, Dr. April Darley, and I want to know if you've ever been triggered by a TV show or a piece of fiction. If so, then this episode is for you because we're going to talk about what happens when you read some sort of social media or a book or a movie or even a song that triggers one of your inner wounds and what you're going to do about that. So, over Halloween, I was at a party, like a Halloween party, and I met up with a girl who had gone to school with my brother. Now, my brother is 3 years older than me, and he's basically considered a genius. So, if you've ever seen the show Young Sheldon, it's a great show. It's a great show, but it was super triggering for me because I had not realized until I saw that show how many wounds I was carrying because people thought he was a genius and I wasn't. I was like the Missy, all right? And what brought it up is this woman who went to school with my brother. She said, "You know what, April? I never realized how smart you were. When we were in school, your brother was the smart one and you were the pretty one." And I'm like, oh, what do you say to that? Right? Are you just like, thank you? Right? So I learned to kind of dull my shine because this is back in the 80s, genius, intellectual genius has always been recognized. I mean, that shakes out to the top. But back then, we didn't know about emotional genius. Nobody talked about emotional intelligence. That wasn't actually viewed as intelligent. Even now, some people will still go, oh, you're just really sensitive. But they don't recognize it as a form of genius, like a legitimate form of genius. And as I watched Young Sheldon, I could see some of me and Missy. Missy was incredibly insightful. Like for twins, it's like Sheldon got all the IQ and Missy got all the EQ, right? And you do need that balance, IQ, EQ. But what happens when you don't respect your own special brand of genius? Or there's something in you that is getting triggered and these wounds are coming up, and you may not even be consciously aware. So, in my practice, I use what I call the bespoke brain system. And in that system, we have 3 levels of consciousness. You have the unconscious, which is your survival brain. This is basically your survival instinct. But this brain gets no love. I mean, this is the bad guy of your entire consciousness system. And there's so many people out there who do subconscious work that will try to go, you just got to get this guy to shut up. And basically, it's like saying, you just need to sit there and look pretty. Survival brain. I'm just going to do what I'm going to do because I'm the logical brain. But that's not actually how it works. You're not wired that way. If anything, it's the opposite. Your survival brain is your default brain. It will hijack the others and take over to keep you safe. And let me tell you, my friend, as a human, that is one of our prime directives is to be safe. Doesn't always work the way we want it to because that survival brain is like a toddler. It wants what it wants, and it's going to get really upset if it doesn't get what it wants, and it's going to throw a tantrum. And that's not so pleasant for the rest of the people in the room. But what would happen if a baby was crying and somebody said, you know what, I wish that thing would just shut up? Why is it doing that? Ugh, what a problem. They just needs to get over it. So I actually want my clients to kind of look at it from a different perspective. That piece of your brain, that piece of your consciousness is acting up for a reason. It has a voice, and that voice legitimately wants to be heard. It may not be rational, just like a toddler that is on the floor kicking and screaming because you said no to chocolate cake for breakfast. All right, you did what you had to do as a parent. That's good parenting. But to that toddler, it means you don't love me. You're denying me something I want, and I'm about to have a fit about it. So, what do we do to that toddler? A lot of times it's love, it's compassion, it's trying to talk them around and go, I'm still going to feed you. I still love you. you know? And we have to do the same thing to that piece of the brain to get the best results that last, in my opinion, right? There are other systems out there. But when you understand why that survival brain is acting up, what is setting it off? What's the trigger? What's the fear? Then you get to bring the other pieces online. You get to bring your subconscious in and going, what is the emotional thing that is being triggered for you? So, your subconscious, what people like to talk about the most, is on a different level. So, if we look at this like a building with three levels, your survival brain is in the basement. The next level up is going to be your subconscious. Your subconscious is your emotional identity, and it has no logic in it. This emotional identity creates its own reality. That reality is created by your thoughts, the stories you tell, and the belief system you create for yourself about what is possible for you, what is likely, and what you think you're going to be able to do, have, or achieve. Now, this brain has no concept of time. It can't tell the difference between something that happened to you at 5 and now you're 35, but it links related circumstances together in a non logical way. So, for example, if you were 5 years old on the playground and some kid stole your juice box and you went to tell the teacher and the teacher did not do anything about it, you created an emotion in that moment that said, it's unfair. Somebody took my stuff. And the survival brain is going to look at juice like food. And not only did they take stuff, they took a food resource from away from you. So it's going to be extra traumatic. And then you're going to create this, I don't get what I want. So fast forward 35. Now you're 35. You got passed over for a job promotion. So this other candidate wasn't qualified. And it's going to activate a similar pathway in your brain because it meets the same emotional definition. Number one, it's unfair. Nobody recognized my own wants and needs. And the survival brain views money as on the same level as food because money's how you get food in modern day society. So it's not a juice box when you're 35, it's the salary raise you did not get. But your brain will view it as if the same thing happened. That other person who got the job stole your juice box, literally took food out of your mouth. And so you will have the same sort of emotional response at 35 that you did at 5. Now, the logical brain is never going to put those two events together because it will look at it and go, that's dumb and it doesn't make sense because the logical brain has no emotion in it. It's purely logic. If you're a sci-fi nerd, it's like a Vulcan. If you've ever watched Star Trek, they just don't do emotion. They're all about the facts and the logic. That's your logical brain. So when we're looking at how your thoughts are wired in this three-tiered system, the logical brain is your consciousness. It's on the top floor. The middle floor is your emotional reality, your subconscious. Everything we think, feel, and believe may or may not be actually true. That emotional reality may not correspond to actual reality. And then you have the basement level, the survival brain. Operating you as a human. This is your internal operating system. This is what we cover in the bespoke brain. So I help you figure out these things that don't make sense. So if you have a problem right now, logically, you know how to solve the problem, right? If you run a business, you know that you need to get more leads in. You need to do lead generation. You need to be visible to people. That's logical. But you're afraid to post on social media. You don't tell anybody about your business. You don't appear on camera at all, right? That is the emotional level because you logically know you need to do that to run your business, but you don't want to do that, or you're scared to do that, or you're resistant or procrastinating about it. That's not a logical decision because that's not the level of the brain that problem lives on. That problem lives on the other two levels: unconscious survival and subconscious emotional. So when I help my clients through the bespoke brain system, I'm going to actually meet you on the level where the problem is. And when it comes to the survival, that brain is key. That brain will demand to be heard. And if you just tell that brain, sit there and look pretty, it's going to get louder in ways that you don't like. And then it's going to take over. And then it's going to tell your logical brain, no, it's your turn to sit down and look pretty. I'm in control now. And when that brain takes control, it's not the best thing for you. You lash out. You start reacting from an instinctual place of scarcity, lack, and survival. And you don't act from this expanded place of growth, love, and compassion. It's all about fear. And this battle, this three-tier battle, is going on in your brain every day, all the time. You make 30,000 plus decisions every single day. And if you aren't aware of this system, then you have a problem and you don't know why you can't fix it, why you can't solve it, because you logically know what to do. But that brain is the least important most of the time. That's the brain that generally needs to sit there and look pretty because it's the other two brains that are being triggered in something you see, hear, think, read, or believe. Sometimes your own thoughts are the trigger. Sometimes you're seeing a movie and your subconscious is reacting to something the character is going through that you also went through somewhat similar in your life. And it's causing you to have an emotional reaction that you may not understand or even be consciously aware of until you listen to this podcast episode, right? So I want you to be aware. Part of what I do with my clients is this education piece. You don't know what you don't know. And these things, these inner conflicts are so easy to create, but they're also easy to unwind when you know where to start. It's like unwinding a ball of yarn. You just need to know the right string to pull, and the whole thing falls apart. So if you're listening to this right now and you have tried a lot of different things and you're still struggling with the same issue or problem, then I am here to tell you, my friend, it is not a logical answer to that problem. That is probably 93% of the time, that is not the level that your problem is existing on. It's either survival emotion, and if you meet it at that level, you're going to see resolution or improvement at the very least. Now, a lot of techniques out there only stop at the subconscious level. The unconscious is different. The survival level is different. And in my opinion, it does a little bit of disservice to try to lump it in to the subconscious because it doesn't get its own voice. But your survival matters and you are hardwired to survive. And if you don't pay attention to that, you're only attacking the problem from a surface that isn't going to get full resolution. It's like chopping down a tree, the roots still exist, and you may still have problems, right? And for total resolution, for that inner peace to solve these inner conflicts, you want to target things at the root, but you don't know what you don't know. So this is where I offer myself as a guide. I do this one-to-one in the bespoke brain system because no one in the world thinks, acts, feels, or believes just like you. You are unique. The emotional definitions and meanings that you assign to things are unique. Your neural pathway is unique. So you need a unique solution. So you need to learn how to work with your brain instead of letting your brain work you, right? Make it work for you instead of you working for it, right? And so these are the things that I teach my clients when we work together one to one. So if you have resonated with this podcast episode, please do a few things. Number one, leave a review, share it with your friends, like it. It helps the reach so that other people can be helped by that. And I would be so appreciative to give a like, share, a review. But also, if you want to learn more, jump into my world. I have so many different resources. If you're a person that is a lifelong learner, a high achiever, you love education, I've got blogs, I've got this podcast, and I offer one-to-one consultations to give that personal service to you. So jump over on my website, aprildarley.com, and go explore. And if you want to sign up for a consultation, I would love to chat with you. They're free and 20 minutes. You can do them anywhere in the world, and it's easy to fit in your day. 20 minutes for that inner peace. Priceless. All right, my friends, I will see you next week. I'm wishing you so much love and success. Bye bye.